Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Knight and I'm here to teach you tarot for free. Welcome to lesson 17, the introduction of the Major Arcana. And I just wanted to say that for me, do I believe that the Major Arcana should be held in a higher esteem? I got to be honest with you. Myself personally, I don't. It's the combination of all of the cards that create a whole. And when I look at the cards, every single card is represented in my life. And that's how I see the cards. And so for myself, I understand that, I can teach you like from zero all the way to, the world. But that is not what I'm going to do. That's not how I've taught the course from this point. And so I decided that I was going to teach you the Major Arcana through my own experience, because these cards brought me to a place of healing. And so it's been this intimate kind of journey you and I have been on from right from the introduction. And so I decided that I was going to introduce you to the Major Arcana based on my healing path. And I wanted to do it for you. So here we go. For myself, and I believe for so many of us, that we absolutely have injuries early in our life that impact us. And for me, for most of my life, I was in the energy of the magician, the shapeshifter. I was using all of my energy, and it wasn't like I wasn't functioning. I always worked, but I was an avoider. I didn't want you to ask me a question. I didn't want to confront anything in my life. So I just used magic to avoid everything. I was very focused because I had to take care and, provide for my daughter and take care of myself. But in terms of spiritual depth, I just used magic instead of that spiritual connection with myself. I was a shapeshifter. I was a wizard. I just absolutely used all of my power to create something new. Until this. April 1st, 1998, I got a phone call. And that phone call changed my life. And it was all like everything in my life fell away. In one moment, I realized that something had happened that absolutely impacted everything. And it was just like this realization that came out of nowhere. And it was a death. And that death had such an impact on me that, not only was it an actual physical death of a person that I just absolutely had so much importance in my life, but it also, as a result of that death, was a spiritual shedding. And I knew in that moment, nothing in my life was going to be the same. Everything transformed, bam, just like that. I went from a state of being numb to a state of no longer being numb. It spoke of my relationships. It spoke of my intimacy. It spoke of my love. It spoke of everything. Like I went from a state of being numb to no longer being numb, but being in the energy of emotion and relationships, and coming into it with myself even, but definitely having to reflect on my relationships and another loss, and this person was dead, and all that stuff. And I also was a mother, the Empress. my first responsibility was to my daughter because she was very young. And I had to make sure she was okay. Like, I put aside all of my emotion because I had to try to see if I could somehow navigate my daughter through this loss. At the time, I didn't realize it, but it also created a seed. And that seed planted me right here in this moment. It also involved the father, the emperor, because it was my daughter's, the only father my daughter ever knew. But at the same time, not only did I have to be a mother, I had to be a father. I had to be a leader. I had to be strong, whatever that means. It impacted the church inside of me. It's about marriage and divorce and my beliefs, my guilt, and my faith, and my family, and the funeral. And all of a sudden I had no clue who I was. I had no idea who I was. Emotionally, I was different. I mean, and it really is about the identity. And it's so neat because most people put this at the beginning of the deck. But for me, it's like, no, if I didn't have this, I never would have been in this space of trying to figure out, like, who are you, Lindsay? Like, really, who are you? When you're not numb. I had to confront my fear. I had so much fear. I was consumed with fear. And I also knew that it was this whole phases of everything. Like, just everything surfaced. And honestly, I could not sleep. I could not sleep under the energy of the moon. And I didn't know what else was coming. Like, what else could come? Because once you go through a trauma like that, you never truly feel safe again. My history, the High Priestess. All of my history as the record keeper. And I also was really led by my intuition. Like, I would go see this person, I'd go for this counseling, and I would do this. And I really went by my gut. Like, just, and just trusting. And also understanding, like knowing. Like, the moment I knew Raymond was dead, I knew intuitively that everything in my life was going to shift. I was in a state of sacrifice. I didn't want to receive. I just felt like I just had no power. I was just like in this state where I was just hanging there. And it was like, I mean, I don't think I ever felt so vulnerable. And this is over a period of months and years. But it's like, it just, just this took away my peace. It took away, my armor. It really took me from a place of being in sacrifice where I had to really look at what I gave away, what I lost, all of that. And drugs and alcohol and anger. I mean, my emotions, like I was in the grip of something just because I went from a state of being numb to feeling, and then I didn't know how to feel, and I didn't know how to let go of that, and I didn't know how to receive. So then I just numbed myself. And I knew that I had to go back to my wounds. I mean, it took me back to my wounds. That was part of my sacrifices. I was in a state of sacrifice because I did not want to feel my wounds. And so I knew that once I gave up the drugs and I was no longer really numb, that I had to look at my wounds and what led me there. And I had to understand that this is healing. I'm healing. Analysis, judgment. I had to look at, why I was doing what I was doing. I had to look at karma, like my judgment. And this is a really, really big reflection of oneself, where you go inside and go, like, I need to look at my actions, my response. And I had to make peace with it. Temperance. It's like taking something negative and turning into something good. I had to take something like Raymond's death. And in order for me to survive, I had to find something beautiful from it. I had to advocate for myself. Because once you're medicated, once you have emotional issues, like, you lose your credibility. I had to advocate for myself. I had to, stand up and restore my balance. And this is the reason that I have this card as one of my profiles. Because I needed to be an advocate. Strength. There was a beast inside of me, and that beast didn't want to heal. She wanted to stay in a state of sacrifice and chaos and drugs and all that. And I just had to calm down all of that and find my strength to be able just to make peace with all that emotion. And I was determined. I went to one practitioner twice a week. That's how determined I was to find my balance and to be able to shed and to become independent, and where I could look you straight in the eye, and where I became a hero. I waited for a hero to show up, and meanwhile, I was the hero, the chariot. I had to look at my anger and releasing and balance my anger. And it took time, and there was opportunity, and just like, if I needed something, I swear I sent a prayer out to the universe, and whatever I needed to help me heal would just come to me. And I knew that there was movement and change, and I could see it. I could see the subtle but beautiful changes in my life surfacing. The star, where I saw just hope, a glimmer of hope. I saw my beauty for the first time. I saw my innocence. I just wanted to shine. Like, can you imagine? From this state to here. And I would not have been here without this. And healing. And I'm still healing. And being able to be nourished and feel the warmth of the energy of healing energy, which is just beautiful. And then the world. I needed to heal my mind, my body, my spirit. Like, everything we do, we take our whole life to it. And for me, I mean, that loss took me to a place of wholeness and celebration and just restoring myself. Do I think that they're powerful cards? Yes, I do. Do I think that they reflect for myself? Yes. And when I would read for myself years ago, it was neat because the cards led me to where I am right now. Just like pendulum work. I never ever used a pendulum to find out if my boyfriend was cheating on me. Like, I wasn't interested. I wanted to know whether I was in my body or not, because there were times where I'd come out of my body. I mean, that's this card. And so it's really being able to just introduce you to my personal connection with the Major Arcana. And no doubt we can touch on it a little bit more, but I couldn't think of a better way of expressing my regard for these beautiful cards. And this is the conclusion of lesson 17.